So in this video, we're going to be taking a very quick look at coroutines. Coroutines are very powerful. Basically, a coroutine is a function that can suspend its execution for a specified amount of time.
Okay.
And we're going to be able to control the time in which the execution will resume within a particular function.
So instead of saying ready, set, go, it says ready, set, wait for it, go.
It's kind of an odd analogy, but sure, Zach. At 4 in the morning, that sounds fantastic. So now, this is definitely a much more advanced topic than the idea of just simply showing a simple game. And we don't need to do this. But again, I would like to take our player and have our player disappear for a predetermined amount of time and then reappear centered back up. And that's kind of how it is in video games, right, Zach?
Sure, sure. Well, I mean,
is it?
Well, I mean, in a video game, you're going to get hit by something, and then you're going to blow up, and then there'll be nothing for a moment. Usually, well, on these shooters, I'm used to, like, you see the player kind of slide in from the bottom of the screen, and for the first few seconds, they're blinking because they're invincible, and I always make use of that to get a few scores in before I can take damage.
So while he's blinking, you can still fire and move him.
In some games, yes. Some games, no.
But he's at that point he's
invincible.
Okay.
It's not like you can immediately die again if another enemy plows into him.
Okay, so it gives you an opportunity to get out of the way.
Yeah.
You were so unlucky as to spawn back in right as an enemy is about to collide in.
Right.
To your
So
location.
it kind of gets you back into the groove for just a moment before the action kicks back up.
Okay.
And some of them will even have like a message on the screen. So it's like while you're blinking, it'll say, get ready. And then as soon as you start playing, it'll say like go or something like that.
Well, how about once we get everything wrapped up and we have the screens and all that, we'll just append that to the end and we'll revisit this. How about we do that?
Cool.
Because we're going to change our geometry out in the end. We're not going to stick with a cube. We're going to put a real ship in here.
Yeah.
So how about have that ship slide back on and have them blink and allow you to move them around. And during the blinking state, if you will, he's invincible.
Sounds good.
Okay. So starting out simple, though, we're going to use a coroutine to allow us to halt or yield execution until a predetermined amount of time goes by. So how do we set this up? It's actually pretty simple. It looks a bit different than you will find over in the JavaScript execution of the same coroutine concept. So keep that in mind. All we need to do is come down and create a new function here inside of our player class. And this function is going to be called destroy ship. Now you notice that so far all of our functions have returned void. We're going to actually return an interface. We're going to return an enumerator. Okay, but that's all you need to know. If you're curious and you want to go and you want to look it up and see what the type is, have a good time.
Yes.
But this is what we're going to return back. So enumerator, and then we'll take enumerator and space. Let's go ahead and give our function name, destroy ship. Now inside destroy ship, this is where we can put our code, including the ability to yield for a certain amount of time. So let me go ahead and grab some stuff and move down to it. So we're going to grab our instantiate right here. And you'll notice that at the moment, by the way, we've got this guy's underlined red, and you'll see that we have an error down here saying that not all code paths return a value. We haven't seen that before because we've always said that the functions have been void. They don't return anything. So I was just saying we are returning something back here.
But we haven't established the return yet.
That's right. We're going to see return pop up in a minute with yield when we halt execution for a given amount of time. So I'm going to take my instantiation of the explosion and cut that, move him down here. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to keep my onTrigger enter function very clean. All I need to do is simply call destroy ship, and I don't need to worry about it anymore as far as our onTrigger enter function goes. So we're going to spawn or instantiate our explosion. Now I want to hide my player, so it looks like we truly were destroyed. So the way I can go about that is I can just say, hey, game object, let's talk to our renderer. And on the renderer, what I'd like to do is disable this guy. So I'm going to disable an actual component here. And to do that, I can just simply say enabled equals false. So we've turned him off. So now what I'm going to do is jump down and center him up, because with him invisible, we can kind of sneak in there and move him around. Nobody will see anything.
So he's there. He's just not being drawn.
You got it. So I'm going to talk to the transform. On the transform, let's talk to the position. And then let's go ahead and generate a new vector 3. And again, we'll just spell it out. We want him 0 in X, and then we're going to put him back at our transforms position Y and our transforms position Z, like such. Okay? So we have centered him up. We've kept our Y and we've kept our Z values. So now that he's been centered up, I don't want anything to happen to him for the next, let's go with a second and a half.
Mm-hmm.
For the next second and a half, I want him to stay in this state. So I can, this is the cool thing about coroutines, I can actually yield execution of this function for a determined amount of time. So I'm going to do that by saying yield. There's my return. So now I'm about to return something. I am going to return a new, and then we're going to tell it that we're going to wait for a certain amount of time. So return a new, and how do we tell it to wait? By just simply saying wait for, I've got end of frame, I've got fixed update, wait for seconds. So that's time. So let's go in for wait for seconds, and I am giving it a float value that is, as you can see there, seconds. Let's just say 1.5 seconds. That's it. That will halt this execution. It doesn't halt the game. It doesn't halt the functionality of our player component here. But when 1.5 seconds has ticked away, then we are going to continue execution inside this function. And that's very powerful.
So this ability to wait like this is something that is a part of a coroutine.
That's right.
Okay.
So now I just need to come back in here and tell this guy that we are going to turn his visibility back on. So we're going to talk to the renderer again. And let me stay consistent with above. I was wanting to make the whole thing very clear, since this was the first time talking directly to the renderer by talking to the game object first. But talk to the renderer, and then we're going to say enabled is equal to true. Okay? So now we've made him visible.
Now, let me ask you this. Can the player still move the ship around while it's invisible?
Well, think about it.
It seems like they should be able to.
They can.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that'll play in well with what you're talking about with it blinking and still being able to move. We can use that to our advantage. But we can disable that if we wanted to. Now, what I wanted to show right now before we move on and demonstrate this in action is that everything looks like it would work just fine. Mm-hmm. But where does the whole idea of a coroutine come in? I mean, we're doing a regular function call. We've got a regular function call right here. Mm-hmm. But what gives? Here's what gives. It's not just a regular function call that we do. We're going to use some functionality that's in place with Unity called start coroutine. We've seen functionality such as destroy and instantiate. Another one that we have is simply start coroutine. Open parentheses. And here we are with our coroutine looking for an I enumerator and the routine that we look to call. So all I need to do is go ahead and put my closing parentheses in there. Notice, no errors with this, but there were also no errors with what we had a second ago. This is how we set that coroutine up. Let's go ahead and save, and let's come back into Unity and execute. So come in and we die. Look at that.
So nothing, and then boom, he pops back in. Very nice.
So now it does give us the sensation of being destroyed. I'm
not saying anything.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to change the game and put a mist. All right, fine. You're laughing. Let's put a mist up there real quick. How do I do it? Come on. Snappy, snappy.
Put a mist?
Yeah.
Which means, well, you'd have to.
What do I do? Come on.
When the enemy hits the bottom of the screen, you're going to need to fire off something.
Oh, you're too slow, Zach. First thing we need is a field to keep track of this, right?
Sure.
Right, good. So what do I type? Good. Public static int missed.
I'm telling him with my mind.
He is. Okay, so we now have missed in there.
Okay, I wasn't sure the angle. I thought maybe you were going to put like a big message in the middle of this.
No, let's just put mist up there. I want you to walk me through what we need.
Right, we just need to increment
those people that don't like us, just jumping off on tangents. We're done with showing what we wanted to show. They can hit stop on the video. That's the power of a video player.
Well, over in the enemy, you had the if statement that was checking to see if they'd pass the bottom of the screen, didn't you?
Over in the enemy. Okay, so we're over here in the enemy, and we've got an update.
If transform position.y is less than some stuff, jump down under there and you need to increment your mist.
Look at you go. And how do I access that?
Player.mist.
Outstanding.
++.
Player.mist. Ooh, look at you go. ++. Okay, fantastic. This is going to make the mist value increment every time we miss him. Fantastic. Okay, so now what? Are we done?
I think so.
Think so? Stop. Play. And where's mist?
Oh, we're not drawing it yet. We got to give it a rectangle and a position and all that.
Okay, so let's jump back in here. Where do I need to go?
Into your on GUI. In your you're sticking in the player.
We're going back to the player.
Yeah, actually, I expect it to be in like a game kind of class.
Thank you. That's why for this very simple example, this all works well. But when we come back in and tear this back apart and put it together with a different foundation, different infrastructure, you're going to find it set up just like that. It will reside. Actually, it's going to reside in a HUD, and the game will on an instance of a HUD, which is pretty cool.
I gotcha.
So okay.
I would just grab one of those lines of code and duplicate it, and then you just
like the sound of that. I'll grab this top one since I seem to miss a lot. It's a little wider.
I was going to say we could just go ahead and set that value up to something like from 120 to 620 or something.
So we'll just come in here and put mist.
Yeah. And then you need to change your vertical offset to, say, what, 50? You're increasing by 20 each time?
So we'll take this guy, and let's go ahead and make sure that we are addressing the mist guy. And you said put him at 50? Now save. Well, the good news is this is showing me that you are indeed learning, because we now see mist, and we've missed one. We've missed two, so now we have a way of ending the game outside of... Well, every time you miss, we could slow the enemy down.
You apparently need help.
Well, this helps. So now we've got our HUD is all sorts of...
Eventually they start flying backwards.
We are able to destroy enemies. We are able to be destroyed. We disappear, then reappear in the center.
We have lives that are counting down. We have a score that's counting up.
So we have particle effects. We have sounds that are playing.
Yeah.
We've got a lot going on.
Most of the game.
And I know these videos have been a bit long, but I'm also doing what I do best. I'm doing a lot of talking and trying to just point different things out. But you could sit down and put this guy together in less than half an hour.
Sure.
Easily. I mean, there's no problem at all. It's because it's so straightforward and simple. The beauty of working with Unity. But a quick recap. Thank you very much, Zach, for putting this together for me. A quick recap. The idea of this video was to demonstrate how we could go about implementing a coroutine, a special kind of function that has the ability to be suspended. That's not really a special kind of function, but let's just say it's a function that can yield execution, and in this case we are yielding it for a given amount of time. And it works towards our advantage because we're able to hide our guy, center our guy, wait a little bit while the game continues to run, and then show him. Okay, so with that, that is going to wrap up this video. In the next video, we're going to take a look at setting up all of our different scenes so that when a player begins the game, they can see some instructions as Casey had set up in his demonstration, and then they can hit a button to start the game. So that's going to wrap things up. Thanks a lot.